Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I'm Dan O'Day along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve.
How's it going, Dan?
It's going okay. Let's talk about Major League Baseball, shall we? Because we're at the halfway mark, which really isn't halfway mark, Steve. It's a little past the halfway mark. The All-Star game.
Yep, the All-Star break is here. It's pretty much the worst 4 days of the sports year because,
There's
there's no
nothing,
games of any kind. There's really
nothing,
nothing.
nothing going
I
on.
looked
There's
it
no
up.
baseball, no basketball, no football, nothing.
There's MLS on Wednesday if you want to watch Major League Soccer.
Well, that is something. Major League Soccer is kind of exciting if you get into it. But it is the saddest week of baseball. And let's go over where we're at because we got a couple interesting things going on in Major League Baseball. First off, the best team in the league is still the Detroit Tigers.
Tigers, who had been playing fantastic and were on a season-long run. I was going to say a month-long run, but really a season-long run. But they did just kind of run up against a little bump in the road named the Seattle Mariners.
They did, and they lost the game before that series, so they've lost four in a row, 5-5 in their last 10. But leading the major leagues with 59 wins, 608 winning percentage, and they are the best team in the major leagues. And the thing about that division, the AL Central, it's pretty much over. I mean, we can always get a run, but Minnesota 11.5, KC 12, and Cleveland 12, all of those teams are below 500.
Yeah, the division really did go through a swoon in the month of June for sure.
Swoon indeed. And the White Sox, of course, are 27 games back. They're way out of it. So that's very exciting. The second best team in the American League would be the Houston Astros. Now 5 games up on Seattle, 8.5 up on Texas, and 9 up on the Angels. A's are 16 back. The only 4-6 in the last 10, the Astros.
Yeah, they got off to a bad start and then they just turned it on and were great for like 2 months. And yeah, over the past couple of weeks, they've definitely cooled off. But before that, I mean, everything they've done, right? They've had so many changes from what we think of. George Springer's long gone, Carlos Correa's long gone, Alex Bregman is long gone. I mean, the rotation is totally different. They've got rotation guys on the injured list. They bring in Isaac, they trade for Isaac Paredes. They traded Cam Smith in that deal. No, Shaw, right?
Yeah.
And and they got Isaac Paredes. Then they brought in Christian Walker from the White Sox, who hasn't even been having a great year, injuries and stuff. But here they are, second best record in the American League, the Houston
A-
Astros.
Absolutely. They're getting it with pitching. They're getting a lot of pitching. There's some pitching not even healthy, and they're going to get back in the second half of the season. And people like Cam Smith and other people, they keep having some young guys contribute. I believe Pena is going to come off the IL soon, their shortstop. So it is very exciting for the Astros. They're playing good. In Seattle, though, you're up in Seattle. They did just sweep the best team in the major leagues, the Tigers. And so they're on a 3 game winning streak, 6-4 in the last 10. They are now 6 games above 500. How's it feel up there in Seattle? I mean, they're playing pretty well.
Yeah, they're playing good. They've been on a good stretch. Sweeping the Tigers got people talking. And then the MLB draft happened over the weekend, and the Mariners had the 16th pick in that draft. So they were in the lottery because they just missed the playoffs. They were one of the teams that just missed. And then they won, like they hit the lottery and they moved up from 16 to 3.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
And then
crazy.
the first two teams, the Nationals and the Angels, did some peculiar things, and a guy who was the ace starter of the College World Series champion LSU Tigers, who was projected to go number one all overall, just fell into the Mariners' laps at 3. And so that's going down. Sweeping the Tigers went down. Cal Raleigh's in the home run derby. Yeah, it's a pretty good time to be a Mariners fan at the moment.
Absolutely. And Cal Raleigh is having an amazing season for a catcher, maybe one of the best ever offensively. And then the American League East, get this, to Toronto Blue Jays now on top of the division, 2 games ahead of New York. Both teams have lost their last two. So the Yankees had a chance to catch up, but they also are on a 2 game losing streak. So that's what's going on there. But the big news in the American League
Yeah.
East would be your Boston Red Sox, your favorite team growing up, and still 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, a 10-game winning streak. First it started out, they swept 3 games from the Pirates, and they looked good doing it. But everyone was like, yeah, but it's the Pirates. And then they did it again to the Rockies. Same thing. They looked very good doing it, but it's the Rockies. But then Tampa Bay came in for a 4-game series. And, they were a game and a half ahead of the Red Sox at the start of that series. And then the Red Sox swept them. It took 4 games. That was impressive.
Very impressive. They've now leapfrogged Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's now 5.5 back, still 3 games above 500. Boston, of course, is 8 games above 500. Tampa Bay 2-8 in their last 10, while Boston was 10-0 in their last 10. So very exciting for Boston. 3 games back in the division. You know,
Yeah.
they're right in it. And Baltimore's 11.5 games back in the division. And let's go to the wild card because that's really what we should be talking about is the wild card. And in the AL wild card, you got your 3 teams leading the division: Detroit, Houston, Toronto, and then New York, Boston, and Seattle are right now the 3 wild card teams in that order.
I like it.
Yeah,
Nice.
I knew you would. Tampa Bay 1.5 games back. Texas 3.5 games back. They're only 1 game below 500. Then the Angels and Minnesota and KC. We start getting only 4.5 games back, but they're under 500, and none of them are really playing fantastic. It's getting kind of to the point where you see where your contenders are. And one thing I want to bring up to you, Steve, I want to give you a guess. Can you tell me who has given up the least, without looking, the least amount of runs in the American League?
Is it the Tigers?
That is incorrect, sir. The Tigers have given up 395 runs. So that's actually,
Oh, wow.
the
Not
team
good.
who's given up the least amount of runs are the Texas Rangers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Last week we talked about them, and Houston was good too, I think. But yeah, Texas,
Yeah,
346.
346. Houston has given up 362, which would be the third best. Kansas City only 356.
Hmm.
346, 356 Kansas City. Kansas City, obviously, their offense not doing well. So that's just very interesting. And the most runs scored, I'm sure you can probably guess they have 501 runs scored, the New York Yankees.
Yeah. I did Aaron Judge, did he just become like the fastest person to get to 350 career home runs? I
I
think that's what
believe
I
so.
heard.
I believe that he is the fastest person, age wise, ever to get, or is it at bat wise or age wise, to ever
I
get
thought it was games. I think it's
games.
games.
Okay, games. Thank you. And so he is the youngest person in games played ever to get to where he is at 350, which is amazing. I love Aaron Judge. We'll talk about him later. Go to the National League. And who has the best record of the National League, Steve, without looking?
I would imagine. Well, the Dodgers have lost some, but I'm gonna still go with the Dodgers.
They are. They have 58 games, one better than Chicago. They are 3-7 on their last 10, and they won their last two. So the Dodgers not
Yeah.
playing great as of late, 2 game winning streak. They're 5.5 games up on San Diego now. And San Diego's 8 games above 500, 5.5 behind the Dodgers. San Francisco's 6 games back. And then Arizona's 11 games back and 3 games below 500.
Yeah, they've been trying. I think they're gonna be sellers at the trade deadline. It's a
Absolutely.
bummer, but I think
Absolutely.
they will.
It's a shame. We'll talk about them in a second when we get to the wild card. Colorado, of course, 35.5 games back. They are the worst team in the major leagues in the last place in the West. In the Central are the Cubs, 57 wins, second best. But get this, Steve, the second best team in the Central is the Milwaukee Brewers. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they have a 7 game winning streak.
And now they're 1 game behind the Cubs.
One
That's
game back.
crazy.
That is. Cubs are 6-4 in the last 10, but the Brewers have gained a couple games. Pretty exciting times in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, they just haven't gone deep enough regularly to get the national attention, I guess. But I'm telling you, they kind of have been this way for about 15 years now. I
Yeah,
mean, they really
contend.
have, you
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
even back in the day, when they had Ryan Braun or Corey Hart, you know what I mean? And they just had guys who played well and they did a good job. The pitching staff always seemed to, even when they bring in like journeyman pitchers to just be like, hey, just hold down the fort, they end up holding down the fort,
Those
you know?
journeyman pitchers are important, actually. Absolutely. They've brought in the right people. They've always been a contending team. They're one game back. A couple other teams above 500. St. Louis, 6.5 games back. Cincinnati, 7.5 games back in the division. Both teams above 500. And then Pittsburgh, 18.5 games back. 2-8 in the last 10 for Pittsburgh. So they are falling fast. And then we'll finish off with the National League East. The Phillies and the Mets are swapping back and forth, seesawing. Phillies won their last game and the Mets lost their last game. So now the Phillies are ahead of the Mets by half a game.
I think, well, heard some things. They're saying the Phillies are going to be active in the trade market as buyers to,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously they're all in. This is their window. They know it. Dombrowski's an active GM when he knows he has a team that's in its window. So yeah, they're looking to make some moves.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zach Wheeler, maybe one of the best pitchers in the major leagues right now. He's already said he's not pitching past his current contract, which ends in 27. The window is now, without a doubt. I heard they'll be going after possible closer and a possible outfield help. I've heard a few names brought up, so I think the Phillies are definitely. And I mean, their time is now. They spent a lot of money. There's no reason not to spend some more if you need to get some players, trade away some young guys. So the Mets are half a game back. Miami, 10.5 back. Atlanta, 12.5 back. And the Nationals, 17 games back. So they're kind of all falling. The Marlins were hanging for a while. We go to the wild card. Dodgers, Cubs, and Phillies are now leading the divisions. Milwaukee, the Mets, and the San Diego Padres are right now in the wild card spot. But San Francisco's only a half game back in the fourth spot for the wild card.
Yep. I mean, I'm kind of shocked that the Brewers have a better record than the Mets. I mean, I didn't know they caught them to that extreme.
They did. They've
But
now passed the Mets to the number one wild card team.
yeah, and I mean, dang, they have a better record, like a game better than the Phillies,
Yeah,
like, and but yeah, and then so the Mets, so they're gonna be there, Philly's gonna be there, they'll flip flop. San Diego, San Francisco, they might be flip flopping for a while too.
absolutely. And St. Louis is only a game and a half back. They're playing 5 games above 500 ball. And Cincinnati, 3 games above 500, only 2.5 games back. I mean, if you're one of those two teams, you're still thinking we're in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think, Cincinnati, didn't they get a taste, like a quick taste last year? Maybe they got bounced in 2 games or something, but they've got a bunch of young talent. Granted, it hasn't worked out as great as they thought it would have three
Yeah.
years ago, but they've still got a lot of young talent on a very manageable payroll. They could do something. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't, to be honest.
And they just called up that young Chase Burns, who's had some rough starts against good teams, but starting to round into form. Yeah, Cincinnati's all in. Then there's Arizona, 5.5 games back, and the Marlins, 7.5 games back, and Atlanta, 9.5 games back. Those teams, to me, Arizona might be thinking they're still into it, but to me, none of those teams are playing well enough to really, unless they get hot in the second half, anything can happen. I mean, we're looking at what, 95, 97 games played, so 65, 66 games left for most teams. But I think Atlanta's going to be a seller too at the deadline.
That's kind of sad because when you look at the National League, the bottom three teams, Colorado, Washington, Pittsburgh, obviously they're all bad. Everybody knows that. They know that. They're going to be sellers. But then the next team's Atlanta, below Miami. You're like, oh, that's a terrible place for Atlanta to be because they don't want to be sellers. They want to, I mean, they think they're good. Their team's good, but what do you do at that point? There's only 3 teams worse than you, and they're the legitimate worst teams in the league, you
Three and
know?
seven in their last 10. They lost their last game. I would say they're not good, and they want to be good. And I agree, it's a tough season for Atlanta fans. Real quick, 30 games back are the Colorado Rockies in the wild card. That definitely trumps the White Sox, who are 19 and a half games back in last place in the wild card race. So we do have some interesting wild card things going on. Anything can happen, and just incredible play by the Brewers and the Red Sox, both on their winning streaks.
Yep, good stuff. And there's only well, the deadline's on the 31st, I believe. Maybe it's August 1st, but regardless, it's only about 16, 17 more days till the trade deadline. So several of these teams are going to make moves.
I think we're going to see a lot of movement, actually. I really do. Let's go to some stats, Steve. Always fun to look at the Aaron Judge report, as I call it. He's batting 355 now, 35 homers, which, as you brought up earlier, gives him now a nice 350 for his career. 81 ribbies already.
Yeah, I mean, 81 ribbies in like 95, 96 games. That's crazy.
85 runs.
That, I mean, he's a giant dude. He's like,
6'7".
he's like Herman Munster out there.
He is.
It's crazy. It's crazy that he's scored 85 runs.
Absolutely. He's getting on base a lot though. I mean, because he's got 69 walks already. So he's definitely on pace for not as many. He had 133 walks last year, so he's definitely on pace for less walks than last year. But yeah, just an amazing time to watch. A great player. We're lucky to have him. He is actually the Herman Munster in a good way of baseball. 6'7", almost 300 pounds, 280 something. He's having a great season. I love him batting. I always bring up Wilson every week. The A's shortstop, the rookie. He's second in average at 332, and then Aranda. I love his story too. Jonathan Aranda hitting so well for Tampa Bay, batting 324, and then Will Smith fourth, batting 323.
Yeah, I mean, Judge is fantastic. Wilson, the wonderful rookie, overproducing. I mean, everyone knew he had a strong hit tool, but nobody saw this type of success coming so quickly. And Jonathan Aranda, I don't even know what to make of that. I mean, I know, we have talked in the past about some of his, like the numbers are there, right?
Yeah,
Like in the minor leagues, he did have
absolutely.
some numbers where you're like, oh, look, no, he's done this type of thing. But yeah, for him to be so good right out of the gate is pretty awesome. And then Will Smith, what he's doing as a catcher, at, hitting 323, that's what happens twice a decade that you have catchers hit over 300.
Yeah, especially when he's never hit above 260 something. Aranda, by the way, is batting 330 and a couple times and over, 300 at bats, 200 at bats in the minor leagues. Aranda, yeah, pretty amazing. Will Smith, I brought up before in previous episodes that he's done something different because his high was I think 268 or something when I looked it up before, and he's batting 323. So pretty impressive for Will Smith. Let's
Yeah,
go to
and
some. Yeah, go ahead.
and a 425 ops, and he's got a 45 walks to only 55 strikeouts. I mean,
Yes.
so that says the guy is very confident at the plate and he's
Yeah.
swinging at the right pitches,
Yeah, he feels good about his awareness of the strike zone hitting for sure. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. Great to see him having such a great season, actually. Can you tell me without looking, how old is Will Smith?
I would say Will Smith is 29.
30. Very good. Very good
Oh,
guess.
oh.
And then in home runs, Raleigh. Yes, Cal has 38 to lead the league.
Cal Raleigh, I mean, you know, when he doesn't home for a run for a couple of days, you're like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, well, what is he really gonna keep hitting home runs? And then like he'll have a two home run game and he'll follow it with another home run game and then 2 days later he has another home run. So he is just locked in, and his batting average, with his slash line at home and on the road, isn't as drastic as you would think because of T-Mobile Park. And his switch hitting, like left to right, isn't that drastic either. I mean, there's pros and cons versus contact versus power, obviously, but as far as just bottom line productivity, he's just getting it done consistently.
Well, Steve, I will say this. Versus left-handed pitching, he's batting 333, but versus right-handed pitching, he's batting 229.
Yeah, but like, what's his
Yeah.
ops and his what is one the weighted runs created and stuff? I think it's all like either way you look at it. I mean, sure, one way he's like utterly godlike, and then
Well,
another way
but
he's like,
yes, he has
oh, he's
22 home runs.
fantastic.
22 home runs versus righties, 16 versus lefties. So he's definitely pretty well balanced. I'm just really impressed with his season. And then, the home run leaders are pretty much besides him. Listen, Cal had, the last three seasons, he had home run totals of 34, 30, and 27, already passing his season high. So he's definitely over exceeding what we expected. But the rest of these guys were all also guys you would expect. Judd's 35, Otani 32, Suarez 31, and Schwarber 30. These are all guys that make sense to be the home run leaders.
Yeah, they do. And
And then
Schwarber, are they still batting? Do the Phillies bat him still like leadoff most of the time, or is he hitting fifth or sixth, or you
the
know, because he's
yeah.
got 66 runs, yeah, 69 RBIs. Interesting.
Well, he walks a lot. He's always among the league leaders in walks. He's walked 66 times this year. I do not believe the Phillies are leading him off as much this year. If I remember correctly, they've been batting him a little low, second to fourth. Um, but he's batting 247. He's doing great. His on base percentage is fantastic.
Yeah.
He likes leading off, but I think they're utilizing him a little more farther down the lineup, which I think I've always wanted them to do. So it's good to see. So we move on to another category, Steve. I always like to bring up this category when it comes to Major League Baseball because I think it matters, Steve. Who's striking out the most and who's walking the most. And I was just bringing up somebody who's high on the walk list, but Soto leads the majors with 77 walks. Devers has 73 walks.
That is insane. That is like, for whatever else he's going through this year, his plate discipline with drawing walks has definitely taken an upturn.
His
That's
season
good.
his season high was 67 last year and 62 the year before. I mean, so I guess he's getting better, but that's crazy. He's second in the league. Judge is third with 69. Schwarber was 66. Then Ozuna was 64. Otani and Cal Raleigh was 62. So pretty always interesting to see who's getting pitched around. And then Riley Green leads the majors, 125 strikeouts. McMahon second with 121. Then we got a tie for third with O'Neill Cruz and Taglia from the Rockies. Those are the people swinging and missing and striking out the most, Steve.
It can, obviously Riley Green, who we've talked about, having a very high strikeout percentage, but when your OPS is 879, all right, sure, you lead the league in strikeouts. I can live with it. But some of those other guys, like Ryan McMahon of the Rockies, his OPS is 684. Ugh. And he's striking out 121 times.
Yeah,
That's just stinky, you know?
yeah.
Same with Michael Toglia, who's also on Colorado. His OPS is 642, but he's 116 strikeouts. So these guys are striking out like huge chunks of times, probably 29, 30% around that range. And they're also, when they're hitting the ball, they're not really doing anything with it.
No. I mean, it makes
I mean,
sense why they're 22 and 74. That's their record.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
With all
They got
those
two of the
strikeouts, that's
top four guys.
a lot of strikeouts, man. I mean, think about it. Um, yeah, that's pretty interesting. We're going to pitching, couple pitching stats that are interesting. Skeens, of course, leads the majors with a 2.01 ERA. Your guy from the Red Sox, Garrett Crochet, second in the ERA with 2.23, tied with Skubal at 2.23, DeGrom at a 2.32, and Boyd from the Cubs with a 2.34, Wheeler with a 2.36. Those are your leaders in ERA. Boyd's pitching well. Matthew Boyd, the lefty, age 34 for the Cubs.
Yeah. I know he had stumbled in and out of some good times. I know there was like Is he a starter? Is he a relief pitcher? And yeah, he just had a long journey. He's been one of those guys. He's had a long journey.
Yeah, he started in 2015, 10 games started. He's been all around the league, Detroit for many years, Seattle, Detroit, Cleveland, now with the Cubs. He's 10-3 with a 2.34 ERA, which is fantastic.
When he um I remember when he came to Seattle for like, I don't know, it was a mid-season trade, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Um, but he was excited because he was a Mariner fan. I think he was from
No.
Pacific Northwest to some degree. And there was like he was like, I'd love if they'd re-sign me. I'd love to stay. And he ended up going back to Detroit again right after, right? The team
Yeah,
that
it
traded
wasn't a
him to
midseason
us.
trade. It looks like he only has one team for
Like an
2022, but he only pitched
like an
10
off-season
games.
signing, huh?
Or maybe he was injured or something. I don't know.
Oh, yes, he was injured. Yeah, he
He pitched
was.
really well in 10 games, all out of the bullpen, though, 1.35 ERA. Then he went back to Detroit, then Cleveland last year, where he pitched good with a 2.72, but ERA. But this year, career year, 10-3, good for Matthew Boyd. Good to see it's really nice to see a guy who stuck around, ups and downs of baseball, some injuries. He's sticking it out and he's pitching fantastic. That's really great to see, actually.
Yeah,
But that is
definitely.
absolutely whip. We got a few guys that are still amazing me. Skubal with a 0.83, Wheeler with a 0.86, DeGrom and Ryan with 0.91 whips, Skeens with a 0.93, and Wu with a
Ooh,
0.93. I mean, just amazing whips.
that that this has to. I mean, we'd have to look. That I think I will look at some point. That strikes me as a lot of starting pitchers with legitimate innings to have whips that low. Look how many of there are. Even the 1.00, 1.01, 1.02. I mean,
Absolutely.
look at all
Listen, I didn't
these
even bring up
starting
Brown.
pitchers.
Brown 0.96 and Schwallenbach 0.97. I mean, absolutely. There might be a record of whip below one per inning of amount of pitchers. Pretty impressive. Some good pitching going on, which is always good to see. Hitting gets all the rage. I like some good pitching. I love a 1-0 game more than I like a 7-6 game.
Yeah, I would agree. I just think I'd like to see some consistency in how they make the baseballs for, you know, 5 years at a time.
It's
Because
true.
there's sometimes where the ball's just flying, and other times it's not. And as fans, you're like, oh, is it bad hitting? Is it great pitching? Is it bad pitching? Is it great hitting? And you're like, oh, it's none of that. It's the balls are different, you know?
Yeah, and it is an interesting thing. I read an article recently, and that people were bringing up. It's like, come on, let's get the balls consistent, not just as the year and from year to year. How about from stadium to stadium? Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, the balls, but it definitely affects the play. But right now, pitching has been really great to see. Saves, Suarez for the Padres leads with 28 saves. Estevez for the Royals and Hader for the Astros second with 25. Estevez will probably be traded by the Royals, I would think. I heard the Phillies might be interested in getting him back
Yeah, because they had got him in a trade from the Angels
last year.
last year.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And Estevez is doing very well,
he
right? I mean,
is.
look, 2.36 ERA, a 1.10 whip. Yeah, I mean, 35 strikeouts in 42 innings.
Pitching well at the age of 32. Yeah, to be honest with you, he's been a really good pitcher for a while. He had all those years in Colorado. And he had decent seasons in Colorado. Then he left Colorado, and that's when he got 35 saves for the Angels. I mean, he's got to be thinking, I wish I left Colorado a lot sooner.
Yeah, you got to feel bad for any pitcher who's drafted into that system.
So he's having a great season in saves, and probably will be moved at the deadline. Steve, can you tell me who has given up the most home runs? You'll never guess. I'll even tell
Who
you what
has
team he
given up
pitches for. He pitches for the Tampa Bay Rays.
given up the most home runs and he pitches for the Tampa Bay Rays? I'm gonna say, is it Fairbanks?
Littell, 24 home runs he's
Oh,
given up.
oh my goodness.
Irvin has given up 20. 2 for the Nationals, and Callion for the Cubs giving up 22, and then
24
Gallen
home runs, and
24
we're
home runs.
60% of the way. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, was he going to give up 42, 41 home runs? That's insane.
And we have 3 pitchers with over 150 strikeouts. Can you name them without looking?
Three pitched over 150. Well, I know Crochet got there. I'm going to assume Scooble, Crochet, Scooble, and okay, who's that last one? Crochet, Scooble. I'm going to guess, and I know I'll be wrong, but I'll guess Rondone.
Wheeler.
Oh, I was going to say Wheeler,
Yeah,
but
Crochet
I remember
Wheeler, 160, 154, and then Scuba with 153. So 3 pitchers striking out many batters per game. Always fun to see. People love the strikeout. There's a lot of strikeouts, Steve. I don't have a chart in front of me, but are we striking out at an all-time high in Major League Baseball?
I don't think it's as bad as it was a couple of years ago, but it's still up there. Yeah. We're still in that era where people believe in, the three true outcome thing of walk, strikeout, home runs. And so, yeah, it'll be a while before we move out of that, I think.
Very exciting thing going on as we head into the boringest week of any sports week all year long. No baseball, no basketball, no football. There is some Major League Soccer going on Wednesday, from what I understand. But that's our rundown. We're about just below 100 games played for most teams. Baseball, baseball, baseball. I can talk about the numbers and what's going on all day. We got some amazing races going on. We got some amazing seasons going on. And we'll join you next week for Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I'm done today with Steve Romano. Cheers.
Have a good one.